But long story short, the paddleboard that I was using was quite long, and it wasn't in front, a little bit behind, and it got caught up in a wave, spinning up behind me, and it just bashed me on the back of the head, and so I got a concussion. Yeah. Maria is my name, Maria O'Flaherty. I'm what I do for a job. I'm a music teacher, itinerant music teacher. So I'm at several schools. Each day is a different school. I teach mainly vocals, which is my instrument. It's what I studied. Jazz vocals I study. But I teach guitar and piano. I also teach from home and gigs. I do a lot of gigs, a lot of performing with my band or different bands. Yeah, anything related to the arts. I'll go to lots of concerts, dance, whether it's classical. I love walking, swimming. I swim a lot, swim every day. I live by the sea, you can hear it from here. Swimming, paddleboarding, tried to surf, no good, but I give it a go. I'm a bit gung-ho. Yoga, do lots of yoga, walking, tramping, anything physical. I love being physical. It was actually not far from here where I live. I left home early in the morning to paddleboard surf, and after surfing for a while I got out of the water, hip height, and headed to shore, aiming for shore. But long story short, the paddleboard that I was using was quite long, and it wasn't in front, a little bit behind, and it got caught up in a wave, spinning up behind me, and it just bashed me on the back of the head. And so I got a concussion. It took a while before I clicked I had concussion. The same day I got a concussion, my mother was admitted to a hospital, and I hadn't seen her for quite a long time. So I raced to hospital. I've got this massive bleeding cut, and I went into this mode of looking after my mum. So it wasn't till about a week later I started to feel really sick, headache, nauseous. So I went to the GP, and she confirmed it was a concussion. I had a cut on the head. She didn't think it needed stitches. So I went to the doctors December the 17th. The accident was December the 9th. I did get a phone call from somebody to say, I've been referred, however, everyone's away, and I'll hear from somebody mid-Jan, late Jan, when they get back to work. She did say if you get really bad, you will have to go to hospital, and which I ended up doing. Day before New Year's Eve, I was really sick, headache, couldn't bear the light, noise. I was admitted straight away, and they took all recordings, and we did a CT scan, which, because they were concerned I had bleeding on the brain, sent me on my way to, rest, told me to rest, and wait for ACC to start the program. I couldn't really see much. My periphery couldn't see beyond. I just had a small window of where I could focus, where I could see. My sight had reduced, if that's the word. Yeah, so I was walking into things, anything waist down, I was tripping over. I was put through to a health provider. They came home to interview me, an occupational therapist. My husband had to be around because I was, completely telling lies. I was so out of it that I didn't even admit I had a concussion. Through ACC, they set up a weekly reimbursement for 80% of what I earned. And through the health team, they sent me to a neurophysicist, and then a physio as well. I was not improving. If anything, I asked if I could see an osteopath to get an overall sort of body work. But they said they don't have an osteopath on their team. So I sourced one. My hearing was affected. Or I just couldn't be sound. So it suggested I get ear plugs to kill the sound, so I can get out and about and start rehabilitating, because I couldn't even get out along the road, the noise of traffic, it just would set me into a massive headache, and that would be it for the day. So the earplugs, they didn't fit my earplugs yet, so I suggested, it was through a friend who said, well, you need to get moulded earplugs, which I did. ACC, my team suggested that, so I went along and did it with the specialist, and my team manager said, ACC won't pay for that, but we can test it. They did actually in the end. That took a while. I suggested to my team to get my eyes tested because I just couldn't see beyond left or right. So I went to the specialist and had this intensive examination, and he suggested, so he sent all his notes to ACC to say Maria needs eye therapy. It was turned down, and so I paid them all the money. It was over $1,000, just under $2,000. We decided to do it because I felt I'd do anything to rehabilitate. The specialist said to me, I should have appealed. I think I got an email to say, unfortunately, we're not going to cover those costs. And of course, down further, it says you can appeal, which I wasn't going to do until he said, I think you should. Well, and we did. And they reimbursed us, yeah. But that took a lot of work on my behalf, but mainly my husband, because I couldn't really look at a screen, let alone collate information. I did do a bit, but it would just spin me out. You need somebody else to do that for you. Well, thank goodness I just finished my tax return for the previous year, so I was able to, although that wasn't a good tax return because it had been 2 years of COVID. It wasn't a great year to show your ACC what my income was, but they pay 80% of what you can show. It went on for, probably a couple of years. So once I got back to work, I had to then I had to send an email each week to say what I had earned, and then they did reimburse or adjust it. Eventually got referred to a Get Back to Work program. That doesn't happen straight away. It starts off fairly basic because I'm still in an absolute mess, and there's no way I could work because a lot of my work is online. Just anything small on the computer, writing an email to say what I had worked. And there were some weeks I wouldn't send it in because just the small amount of me working was enough, with my online invoicing. Because I hadn't sent into ACC, then I wouldn't be paid. So I'd wait a couple of weeks when I had the energy. But eventually ACC stopped paying me. Well, I didn't actually receive an email. I phoned them to say, what's happened? It takes forever to get to the right person. And you have to explain the whole thing. It was an abrupt end. They did eventually send an email to say your accident, because it didn't happen before your 60th birthday, we can't pay you any longer. It happened before I turned 60 by a week, but I didn't contest it because it was just I'd had enough of doing that. Well, I guess the timing for me was unfortunate when my accident happened, because there was nothing happening for me until end of January. There was no sense of urgency, due to the timing. I didn't really receive the support and treatment that I perhaps needed immediately. I mean, there were great things about ACC, but they put you in a box. Each concussion is different, and each person's going to have different symptoms. They think you get to a stage and when off you go, start back to work, and if you don't get your weekly compensation, a lot of energy to contact ACC, and that is huge. And then when I started the Get Back to Work program, even with the case manager, I had to do this weekly account of, my hours and income. It seemed a long time, maybe 5 months, 6 months. Every time I phoned ACC, even a year later, what was my injury? how did it happen? What did I actually want? And I'll say, well, I just want to speak to this person who I spoke to last week, and da-da-da. Sorry, you can't. No, not really. No, not through the system. Yeah. I haven't had support for quite a long time. So I go to see an osteopath. I still have ongoing symptoms like headaches, if I overdo things, do too much, yeah. Fatigue, still get fatigued. Well, it's changed my life, yeah. I'm not the person I used to be, that's for sure. Only working 3 days a week. I gig still with my bands. It takes a while to get back into, one has to apply for festivals and music in parks. That's a lot of work. Sometimes it's a year in advance. Socially, if I go out, I have to often leave the social settings. Yeah, social occasions. I'll leave early and I'll probably have a headache. Might take the next day, a whole day to come right. But meanwhile, I'm back teaching. I just have to be aware of I can't push myself like I used to. In fact, if I've got a really big gig, like a big corporate gig, I perhaps may not teach that day, which is a loss of income, because I cannot teach and then go off and do my gig. I'd had, I don't know, health insurance. I could have had treatment a lot quicker. I think having somebody to be your voice is helpful. If you don't have an immediate person living with you, then you need an advocate. So my husband did a lot, and it was exhausting for him. Absolutely exhausting. You get turned down for treatment, then you ask the questions why, and perhaps even appeal your case. Initially, it sounds good, like ACC, you're going to pay 80% of your income, but the reality is, no, eventually they want you off your books, nudge you to, you must be right. It's been a year, it's been 2 years, and it's all over. I just think you have to keep asking questions and trying to source as much as possible what is out there. Do your research, get somebody to do the research for you. You got to rest up straight away, that's for sure. Rest up and hopefully you get over it really quickly. And if not, then you've got to do whatever you can and get help. Somebody has to help you find the treatment and rehabilitation and do whatever you can to rehabilitate. Open up your heart, baby, baby. Open up your heart. Hey.